Welcome into Hit That Line Week 4. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Joining me, as always, Ben Woodhouse, Nicholas Carr, Austin Gray. We are here to preview and predict Ole Miss at Alabama. Number 15, Ole Miss. Number 13, Alabama. It's been a long time since this game has been this closely ranked this early in the year. And fellas, I don't know if it's – I probably need to do the research. Nick, Ben, Austin, y'all might know. When is the last time Alabama had a loss this early in the year going against Ole Miss?
I thought about that today because I was thinking about if Ole Miss beats them, would they be 2-2? When was the last time they were 2-2?
Had to be like 07.
It's probably 07. I mean, I feel like that's the answer to almost all the trivia questions about Alabama.
Yeah. I will say I don't know the answer to that, but one thing I do know the answer to, and that is you can get some of the best looking Ole Miss merch that you can find on the internet at homefieldapparel.com. Package finally came today. We're golden. Got my 3 items. If you would like to get 3 items out of the collection, or maybe you want to get 4 or 5, you want to get all of them, go check out homefieldapparel.com. And when you do, use promo code TOC23 on your first purchase, and you will get 15% off. I went ahead and snagged the Tad Pad shirt, the Flood, and the basketball throwback lettering shirt. Those were the 3 that I chose. They've got a quarter zip. They got a hoodie. You got some good stuff. Go check them out, homefieldapparel.com. And when you do, promo code TOC23. Looking at the schedule, oh, God. Wikipedia does the shit where they vacate the wins. So in 2007, Alabama started out 3-0 and then lost 2 straight, and then won 3 more, and then lost 4 straight, and then won a bowl game against the Colorado Buffaloes in Shreveport.
So they were 5 weeks in before they had 2 losses?
That is correct. They lost to number 22 Georgia and to Florida State.
I mean, so it may be like I don't want to just go through the whole history of Alabama football on the show, but it may be like 2002 is the only other time I can think of when they had a lot of losses. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but we got a chance to.
Yeah. 2006 they were 6-7. They were 6-6 in 2004, but they started out 3-0. One of those being against Ole Miss. 2003 they were 4-9 with Mike Shula. Could this be it? They started. Yep, there it is. 2-2. 2003 opening win over South Florida. How about that? Full circle. And then they they lost to number 1 Oklahoma, and then beat Kentucky, and then lost to Northern Illinois, and then number 9 Arkansas in double overtime.
Good gosh.
Yeah.
Northern Illinois. Can you imagine like that? That is a whole different world of college football when, I mean, obviously there's not the same Alabama team, but like an SEC team not named Vanderbilt losing to NIU. This just doesn't happen now. We recruit a different caliber player.
So I'll give you a trivia question, then we'll get into this week's game and get off of the Alabama trivia hour here. But their last game of the year was a loss, 37-29 L on the road. I can't tell you where because it's a dead giveaway, but do you know who they lost to at the end of 2003?
Yeah.
Alabama?
Does anybody know this answer?
Hawaii.
Yeah. Alabama did the dumbest, cheapest, like the NCAA never should have allowed it. They got a 2-year bowl ban. And so Alabama came out with the most blatant ploy ever and announced consecutive trips to Hawaii in December at the end of their year. Like that, if Ole Miss tried to do that, they'd give us an extra year of bowl promotion.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
So they didn't go to a bowl 2 years in a row, but got a 13th game in Hawaii.
Because, the year before in 2002, Dennis Franchione, they went 10-3, couldn't go to a bowl, but they went to Aloha Stadium and beat the mighty Rainbow Warriors 21-16.
They beat the mighty Ole Miss Rebels that year like an absolute drum.
42-7.
Correct. It wasn't that close.
last thing on this, I think it's horseshit. If you have a bowl ban, you shouldn't be able to be ranked.
Yeah, well, you're not
agree?
in the AP, right? It's just a coach's thing only. I thought.
So it looks like on Wikipedia it says rankings from AP poll.
Maybe not.
I think that's stupid. If you can't go to a bowl, like why are you being ranked?
Who was their running back that year?
2002?
No, it was after Alexander. He's still running for touchdowns against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
After Alexander?
It was Sean Alexander. Santonio Beard. Oh, no, it was Santonio Beard.
Beard, yeah.
He tied Sean Alexander's record. He had 5 rushing touchdowns.
Correct.
He 13 carries, 138, 5 touchdowns.
This is the problem when we go to Alabama is that not always, I guess, but a lot of times they like pound us in the first half. And then it's like the game's over at halftime.
Yeah, they just salted away. Yeah.
Like in 21, we won 10 regular season games and what were they beating us, like 28 or 35-0 at half?
35-0.
Now, don't get me wrong. They were a great football team, but were they 5 touchdowns better than us in one half? We went 10-2. We beat the brakes off of LSU that year. And Alabama was beating us 35-0 at half.
But that was like when Kiffin was in his but
35-0
bullshit era where he would just go for it on 4th down no matter what.
Yeah, but this is 35-0. I understand it even at 21-0.
I'd have to go back and look at the box score. I want to see what those drives were because I do feel like there were a couple stupid, turnover on downs where the field was incredibly short. But
we opened the game by going right down the field and stalled out on like their 6 on a 4th down. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a 12-play, 80-yard, 0-point drive.
I mean, here you go. What was his name? Was it Brian Robinson Jr.? Yeah. Brian Robinson Jr., 36 carries for 171 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wait, he ran the ball 36 times in a college football game?
They pounded the rock.
That's so many
down
times.
Our throat.
A dude not named Derrick Henry ran it 36 times.
That's amazing.
Good Lord. All right. Saturday, 2:30 CBS. The line, I believe, is still, 6.5 or is it 7?
I've seen
either
6.5.
one works. Yeah.
Yeah, let me pull up Vegas Insider. Anyway.
The pick is the Ole Miss money line. Going and get out in front of that.
You can get 6.5 in some books. All right. We'll let everybody go around the horn. Give your take and how you think Saturday will shake out because I got I've already given my pick on a couple shows, but y'all get a first crack at it before I say my piece.
I won't monologue it. I'll just make it conversation. I'll tell y'all, I don't think that Alabama's quarterback is any good. I'll start it with that statement. No matter who they play, I don't think Milroe's any good. I don't think the guy from Notre Dame's any good. He's actually bad. Butler.
I was going to say
that dude's out there throwing he's bad.
We don't have to think that.
How did he play so much at Notre Dame? And that's a good football team.
Dude, they were bad.
Notre Dame's a top 5 football program all the time, and Buckner was their quarterback. This is just unbelievable to think about.
Also, just so everyone's clear, every single recruiting service had him as a 4-star quarterback.
Every single one of them missed on that thing.
I mean, just
now. Let me ask y'all this: so they're going to play Milroe. Do we think he plays the whole game?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, barring
I say that
in Ole Miss's favor, and they put Ty Simpson in just to get some reps.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let's say, my lips to God's ears, we jump out 17-0. They may have to go to the bullpen, man, because I don't think Milroe can throw them back into it. Yeah,
the Boo Birds will be out at 17-0.
Yeah. Like let's say he's got a fumble and a pick, and we're up 17-20-0. Then they go to the bullpen. I think they have to at that point. But anything short of that, I think they ride him.
People are already doubting and calling for Tommy Rees to be out of there.
Oh yeah. Okay. So next question: do y'all speak with Alabama fans fairly regularly? Like I have a few friends I talk to pretty much every day who are Alabama fans. they uniformly expect to get drilled Saturday. Like they're not speaking that into existence to as
they're not trying to like reverse KOD it.
Reverse jinx. Correct. No, they're like, dude, we're not good. I mean, they're like it, because there's one thing to lose at home to Texas, right? There's another thing, and then that's a one-off bad game. But you don't follow that up with a trip to South Florida, who's the worst team in the FBS, and struggle. Like that.
Yeah. They're sitting Quentin Flowers, South Florida.
Now, what shocked me about that was they could not push South Florida around. Like I thought at some point that they were just going to say, you know what, screw the passing game. We got to get out of here with a W. We're going to turn around and hand the ball off 40 times, and we're going to win, 35-3. They couldn't do it. They couldn't turn it on.
How is everyone so wrong on this Alabama offensive line? People were talking.
Dude, it's crazy.
They were going to be one of the best in the country. Them in Ohio State, and they're pitiful.
Was it Latham that went to media days?
Yeah,
I'd be lying. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Because when I was at media days and I was walking around talking to people, and everybody was like, "Man, there's an edge to this Bama group this year. Like they're normally buttoned up and they're real proper. Yeah. They're coached up on how to talk." But they were like, "Man, Latham has got an edge to him, and he's all cocky and talking about how good they're going to be, and they're going to run all over people." And it wasn't just him. Like all the national media were like, "This O-line is just." I mean, I'll ask y'all this. It might have been us talking about it. Are they too big?
Maybe.
Because like their average size is bigger than NFL offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they average, right? They are bigger than the biggest NFL offensive line, aren't they? I think so.
It was our boy Ben Still. I was talking to him, and because we had mentioned it, like they put up the graphic, week 1 or whatever, about how like their average offensive lineman, I think, is like 6'6", 330 or 335.
So their left tackle is 6'7", 360.
True.
And their right tackle is 6'6", 360.
Oh, who's the guy in the picture ahead of Saban when he came in looking like like he was lost his last friend? He was like walking in the tunnel.
Yeah.
And everyone was saying like, "Oh, it looks like Saban's lost it." That dude was an absolute giant. It had to be one of those tackles you're talking about, Ben.
Well, the left tackle is what, Caden Proctor?
Yeah, Caden Proctor.
He's the dude they flipped from Iowa. He's a enormous human. But yeah, like, because Ben brought it up. They showed the graphic. I guess it was in the Texas game. And he was like, I feel like that's too big.
Yeah.
Especially in the SEC where you've got dudes like Isaac Ukwu and Harold Perkins, these dudes off the edge. Like, you're too big to move to block those guys.
And actually, in the run game, they're not super effective either because they get winded so quickly. I mean, they can road grade.
They can't hurry up either.
Exactly. Yeah, they can road grade for a series or two, but then they're just as gassed as the guy they're going against, if not more so.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me because, I mean, I kept using the word identity all week in talking on shows and talking with people about this game. I mean, Alabama does not have an identity. They don't have they quote know who the quarterback is because everyone else sucks. But like y'all just said, they can't run hurry up. They still can't mow people down because the offensive line has been so inconsistent. They don't have any skill guys that truly scare you. I mean, Jermaine Burton's solid. But I mean, yeah, like it's a weird. It's such a weird vibe going into this game because they're not your granddad's Alabama anymore.
Yeah, go back to 2008. Okay, 2008. Who played quarterback at Alabama in 2008?
Was that McElroy?
Was it McElroy? Well, they had Julio Jones into who was next? Calvin Ridley into
Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
John Parker Wilson was the starter.
Mm-hmm.
They had like Mechie and the guy who won the Devontae Thomas or Smith.
Devontae Smith.
Anyway, and they had like several guys on that team. Point being is like, man, they've always had some elite
Henry Ruggs.
Dude, one point, I saw this tweet. I just found it. There were 42 plays in 2019 when Alabama had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle on the field at the same time.
Yes.
Like
and so, but they also have like Mac Jones playing quarterback, or Tua, or Jalen, or we're talking about all NFL starting quarterbacks, all NFL starting wide receivers, all NFL starting running backs, all NFL starting offensive linemen, all NFL starting tight ends. And so it's like, and then now you go, okay, name a Bama receiver. Well, Burton. And then it's like, is anybody? I mean, I'm sure they're good guys. They recruit nothing but 5-star players. It's good in terms of talent, or they were ranked highly out of high school. But I think what's happening now with Alabama is proof of how important quarterback is, and what's happening with Ole Miss is proof of how important quarterback is, because we have weaknesses, but Jackson Dart has been playing so good and protecting the football so well that Ole Miss is really, I mean, just so strong for 60 minutes. It's just so difficult to beat Ole Miss, because they're not beating themselves other than some penalties up front on the offensive line. I mean, can y'all think of a weakness on offense? You know, there's clearly some issues going on in the backfield, but other than that, I
think there's some issues in the backfield with one person in particular, but Bentley ran well last week. And hell,
I agree.
Matt Jones, when he got in the game, put his foot in the ground and got upfield more quickly than some other guys have for us this year.
I was going to say about Bentley, like in 9 times out of 10 years, we would be talking about how great of a back Bentley was. He is an extremely good blocking back.
Yep.
He is lightning quick out there.
So explosive, man.
I mean, in so many years, if Bentley was the guy coming in the year, everyone would be like, we got ourselves a good running back. So the fact that he's the backup tells me a lot about the team and like the running backs that we've got, but also that we're in good hands, whoever has the ball back there. I mean, really, Bentley is very good. I mean, and maybe this sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays like significant time in the NFL.
That's the key word there is hands, because Bentley, last 2 seasons, he's had some issues holding on to the football.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the issues are on offense, I think that's, everybody always does the question, what stat do you want to know going into the game to give you an idea of how the game went? And at first I wanted to know turnovers.
Milrose stats. I want to know Milrose.
I want to know how many sacks. If Ole Miss can get in his face, and maybe not 6 sacks in a game, just create pressure and force him to make rash, quick decisions. Because, look, if Jalen Milroe carves up Ole Miss on Saturday, it's going to be a long year. Because I do not believe in my amateur scouting and analysis that he is good enough to carve people up. He hasn't shown that he's good enough to do it. And I think the edge here for Ole Miss is Pete Golding. He was in that building last year. He knows the personnel. He knows their weaknesses. He went against them every day in practice. I think that's going to be huge. I think they're going to have some packages put together to put him in spots to where he is going to turn the football over. And I think that's the turnover battle's huge on the road. You got to take care of the football. But yeah, I need to know defensive, how many pressures, how many quarterback hurries. I need to know that. And if Ole Miss can get in his face and disrupt, I think that Ole Miss will be in a good mood on Saturday night.
I think that if I'm both defensive coordinators, I'm sending so much pressure the entire game that, I'm making, I guess you run the risk of a busted run for a big play, like if you break through that first level. But if you send so many guys, but I wouldn't let Jackson Dart sit back there, because Jackson seems to be at his best in that intermediate to deep passing game, particularly to Watkins. He likes one play in particular where it's like a deep cross over the middle
routes.
Gosh, man, Watkins, Dart kills people on that. But I wouldn't give him enough time to be able to do that. And if I'm Ole Miss, I'm doing the same thing. Like I'm gonna widen out the defensive ends and keep Milroe contained, and try to get as much pressure on him as possible. I like the matchup for Ole Miss. I do. Like, and y'all know me. I mean, I'm the eternal optimist, but at the same time, I call it like I see it. I think this is like an exorcism game. We're going to exercise some demons here. I think that particularly Kiffin, I'm looking at like it's going to be a fun late fourth quarter for Ole Miss fans at Bryant-Denny. I think that this is a 34-22 final Ole Miss. Like I think that Ole Miss punches one in late to win by 2 scores.
Inshallah, man.
I mean, I'm telling you, in my life, there's only been one time where it was like a true blowout of Alabama, and that was Eli Manning's senior year, and when Ole Miss just like walked the dog on them. You know, I don't know if this is going to be that. Yeah, but this is going to be Ole Miss it's going to be a fun day. I really, I could be wrong. I mean, but who cares if Alabama blows Ole Miss out? The national media be like, well, it's just another Bama Ole Miss game. You know what I mean? We've seen more 62-7s in the last 10 years than we've seen Ole Miss wins. So
yeah. All right, Austin, Nick, before y'all go, I do want to say, before you head over to Tuscaloosa for the game, might need to snag an extra polo. Maybe you need a new crispy one for the road game, or maybe you need a couple extra cups for the road for your coffee, or if you're riding in the passenger seat or in the back, you might make you a little cockatoo on the way there. Go over to College Corner, check them out. Sisk Avenue in Oxford, Mississippi. They have got brand new Realtree tumblers. They've got Realtree shakers. If you, if you want to make a little protein shake or some electrolytes on the way there, get your Realtree shaker. But they've got new tumblers. They look good. Go over there and get you a couple Realtree cups. And then, like I said, get you some new polos, get you some pullovers, get the kids something. If you're doing some tailgating in Tuscaloosa, they got tailgating supplies there. They got gifts, all of that and more at College Corner in Oxford, Sisk Avenue. Go tell Scott and the folks over there that the boys on Hit That Line sent you, and get you some Ole Miss swag. All right, Austin, fire away, buddy. What do you think about Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with much that anyone said yet. I'll just say this: it's probably the least sexy part of the game, but I'm just reminded of 2016. Special teams in games like this can win or lose you the game, and I'm not just talking about missing or making field goals. You remember in 16 we were up by 2 touchdowns at the end of the second quarter. Yep. We punt the ball. Eddie Jackson returns it 85 yards with a minute left in the first half, and suddenly a 24-10 game in the first half turns into a 24-17 game. And then like within, I don't know, a couple minutes of the third quarter, Bama returns a 3-yard fumble for a touchdown. And so it's 24-24 and their offense hadn't done shit. That cannot happen. That can't happen Saturday, right? We have to punt the ball well. Our punt coverage unit has to play the best they've played all season or are going to play all season. We cannot give them free points or free yards, right? We can't give up a 60-yard punt return that puts them on our 30. Things like that in games like this are critical. I mean, state the obvious. We can't turn the ball over. We'd like to win the turnover battle.
Austin, to your point, and not to interrupt you too much, but think about the 2 wins Ole Miss had. Caused the fumble on the punt return from at home from Christian, what's his face, number 22. I can't think of his last name, Christian Jones. And then the same thing happened the next year. Caused 2 fumbles on kickoffs. I'm sorry, fumble on the kickoff in 14 and fumble on 2 kickoffs in 15.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry.
No, exactly. And like those are the big ticket items on special teams. I even mean the hidden stuff, the hidden yardage. Don't like, I don't want us to have a big punt return that gets called back for holding. You just have to be clean in all phases of the game to beat teams like this. And I know they're down. They are not the Alabama team they were of a couple of years back. They've got weaknesses, glaring weaknesses. We are once again going into Alabama with the better quarterback, like we did in 21. I know Bryce Young later became the Bryce Young that we all know him to be today, but that day, Matt Corral was the better quarterback going into that game. And I think this is another time where we're going into that stadium with a better quarterback. We need to capitalize on it. If we get some of the skill guys back, I really like our chances. I think Pete Golding is going to be in his bag. Look, we mentioned Golding, Zach. Wes Neighbors was also on those Alabama staffs. Our safeties coach, he's going to be as familiar with their staff as Pete is, familiar with their tendencies on that side of the ball, familiar with Saban and company and their personnel. So, we got 3 guys on our staff who know this Alabama program and its personnel really, really well, know their tendencies, know Saban. So you can't underestimate that. And I'll just speak to the number. This is a gambling podcast. So let's speak to the number just briefly here. At 7, I've heard probably a dozen people say the Alabama line against Texas was 7, and the Alabama line against Ole Miss is 7. And Ole Miss is not Texas, and therefore Alabama's going to crush us. The number's wrong. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. That as the sample size grows, as we get more data, the markets get more efficient, right? Now, if Texas and Bama played today, the line wouldn't be 7 today. So to me, it's a stupid argument to say Ole Miss doesn't deserve the Texas number. Well, no shit. The Texas number today would be like Texas minus 10.5 against Bama. I mean, they beat the hell out of Bama. So I just don't put any stock in that. I think the number feels right. Home field at Bryant-Denny's, what, 4, probably 3.5, 4.
At 230, it's probably not even that.
So
you know what I mean?
I think it's a fair number. But I'm with y'all. I think Ole Miss wins outright. I think today we may not have the better roster, but we have a better team today. We are better in the positions that matter most. I think we have an extremely motivated staff, and not just our head coach this time around. And that's not to say that we weren't motivated in years past in the popcorn game. I'm not blaming the loss on lack of motivation. I'm just saying Pete Golding is a different animal than we took in there in 21.
And DJ Durkin.
Exactly.
Good Lord.
So, we've seen what Pete does in terms of halftime adjustments. We've seen how Pete is on the whiteboard. He's still going to have hit a unit that is not as good as his counterparts on the other side of the field, but I think they will be just good enough to pull out the W here. Again, better quarterback, a staff who's motivated, and top to bottom, I don't know that our staff is worse than Alabama's. I really don't. I mean, I know Saban's the GOAT, and probably assembles rosters better than anybody ever has in college football history, but all things must come to an end. And it just feels like we're quickly nearing the end of the Saban era. And this team, I think, sort of reflects that. They're kind of disorganized. Look, last year, they were among the tops in the country in penalties a game. Like, they were completely unorganized, really undisciplined.
And this isn't to hate on Saban, because it happens to everyone. He's getting old.
He is. And he looks it, dude. He looks it. He sounds
and
like
I think I think he knows that. He's like, you know what? Like, this is the end of it too. I'm not saying that he's still not the greatest coach of all time at the greatest college football program of all time. Yeah. Like, both of those things are true. That does not mean that they can't lose. I mean, they got kind of dragged by Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they followed that up with a get-right game at South Florida. They damn near lost it. Well, then, but you know what I'm saying? They weren't
once they got off script, I mean, Kwiatkowski got in it.
And look, it feels like staff turnover and the staff turnover bingo that Saban has been forced to play for like 15 years, and that he usually wins. Somehow he usually goes out and finds, elite coordinators to replace the elite coordinators he lost the year before. It looks like he's finally come up snake eyes there, where it just didn't happen. He got Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele. It's just not, those are not the same level of coordinator he's had in the past. And so if you have a declining Saban and coordinators who can't hack it, I really like our chances here. I'm with Ben. I kind of like us outright.
There are Alabama staffs that had Lane Kiffin as an offensive coordinator and Kirby Smart as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that is not this.
It's hard to replicate that. It really is. And Saban deserves so much credit for doing it year over year. He did, but this is not. It didn't happen this year.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
Are you looking at cutting your health insurance premiums by as much as 20 to 30%? Are you aging into Medicare and need help finding a Medicare supplement plan? Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group at 601-953-8449. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, and he can help you with any of your health insurance needs. From regular health plans to life insurance to dental and vision and even Medicare, he has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today. Y'all remember how we all reacted when they hired Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, I know I said it, and I think everybody else was saying the same thing, but we were all just like, what the hell are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not inspiring at all. Like, Tommy Rees, I think, what is this, his second year as a coordinator?
Yeah, and Kevin Steele has been, I mean, literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the most retread of all retreads, and I don't feel like hasn't been really like loved other than like that 2 games at Auburn, in a good little while.
Okay, I was
Nick's
wrong.
about to lock in Alabama. I know.
No. You talked me out of the lock, but
Tommy Rees was an OC at Notre Dame he was OC and quarterbacks coach from 2020 to 2022.
So 4 years.
I feel like he should still be playing football.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, the fireman's here to dump a little water on the fire that's going on with you guys. I know. I mentioned earlier how I contemplated locking in Alabama. I'm not going to do that because I think Ole Miss can cover, but I can't state this enough. The first couple drives of the game are so incredibly important. I sat with Ben in 2021 and we marched down the field and we didn't score. And he looked at me and he said, and I'm not calling you out, Ben. I'm just saying I agree. I'd agree with this at the time. He said, we're okay. We dominated on that drive. They took everything in them to stop us. And I thought the same thing. I was like, you know what? He's right. We should have scored that drive. It's okay. Not a big deal. And then they destroyed us in that first half, right? After that drive, I think we probably had like 1 or 2 first downs and they had, 5 touchdowns. Point is that it is so pivotal in this game to not get behind. I mean, if you get behind 7-0, like first drive, yeah, okay, but you cannot let yourself get behind 2 scores. And that's 10 points. You must come out and score in the first 2 drives, and you must get at least 1 stop on the first 2 drives. We cannot get behind in this game at all because the same thing will happen again. And I'm afraid the same tightness will come with Kiffin because, I mean, how many times have you guys heard this week? If not now, then win for Kiffin. If not now, win for Lane Kiffin against Nick Saban. When's he going to do it? Because we don't play him next year.
Well, he was not going to have the opportunity again. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we don't play him next year. Who knows if we're going to play him in 2025? And at that point, it's like, is he going to face Saban again? Is he still going to be here? Whatever. So if not now,
Saban's still going to be at Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. So like, how many times have you heard that? Dozens of times. He hears that. I'm concerned that he will coach in that same manner. That I don't want to say tightness, but like he will feel as though like everything has to be perfect, and that's why I say it is so important to come out of the gate not necessarily strong. You have to be up 14-0 in the first quarter, though that'd be very cool. But you have to come out of the gate, and it has to like that worry and fear of like everything has to be perfect needs to wear off. We need to get it. It at the end of the first quarter it needs to be a tie ball game, or we need to be down 3 points or something like that. It needs to be right there so we can just play football. And we were not able to play football in 2021. After that first drive, they got on us so quick. It was just like our heads were spinning. I remember sitting there late in the first half looking around, and we were like do we go home? Like it's 35-0. I guess that's it. Yeah, you did go home. We for some stupid reason watched the bands at halftime and then watched like 2 drives in the second half. And it was like we hardly got a chance to play football in 2021 because of how quickly it happened. We had whiplash, and I mean, it obviously goes without saying we don't need to be down 35-0 Saturday, but we just need to weather the initial storm and get out there and play football because I think we're a better team than they are on Saturday.
Let's talk about
let's get through
that specific game though. Okay. Yes, I commended us after that first drive, and it was a good one.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great first drive.
Now, but we also looked at each other and were like, once Bama went up 14-0 or whatever, we were like, this game's over. I mean, the speed that Alabama played at that day compared to what we played at that day.
They had 14 players on the field. It was unbelievable.
Yes. We weren't even anywhere near in the same. But the next year, let's talk about 22. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We had the best player on the field in 21 in Matt Corral. To me.
Yeah.
It didn't matter because of the I mean, we had some really good players in 21 and we went 10-2. Is that the worst 10-2 team that you've ever seen? Like
it has to be. I'm sorry. It has to be. We weren't great at all year long. That's why
we've had 8-4 teams that would have beat that team. I guess is my point. I mean, and I'm saying worse than
Eli's 9-3 team would have destroyed that team.
And so what I'm getting at now, though, 22 though, implement NIL, do whatever. It looked a lot closer in terms of it didn't look like we kind of just hung with Alabama like the 2020 year where they eventually just blew us out at the end or ran away with it.
Well, they beat us last year because they had the best player on the field.
Better team. Correct.
They beat us last year because they had Bryce Young.
Yep.
Correct.
Without Bryce Young, Ole Miss wins that game last year by 17.
Yeah, and he's not playing Saturday. We just got to weather a storm because at the end of the day, there's a lot of players on this team and coaches that were here in 21, and we'll remember that. I mean, it's not the whole team. I know we have a lot of transfers, but they will remember this is what Ole Miss has done in Tuscaloosa. This is still Alabama, and I don't want us to look up at the end of the first quarter and go, "Oh shit, man, we let Alabama be Alabama for a quarter, and here we are, 17-3 or something like that."
And we can move on, but the only place that we go to other school. I mean, Ole Miss at Vaught Hemingway is one of the smaller stadiums in the league. What like fourth or fifth smallest, probably, maybe even more than that. But when you go to Arkansas or Auburn or even Tennessee, even though it's a lot bigger stadium, it doesn't feel bigger. Alabama is the one stadium that you play at, and it's like, holy this feels like big time when you're in the stadium. Bear Bryant talks, Nick Saban runs out of the field. Like playing at Alabama feels like you're playing at an NFL stadium. Like it feels
like you're playing the Jets. Like
it's like, golly, dude. Like we're in the same conference. Like you look around, you're like, what? And so to your point, Nick, we have to weather the storm because they are going to be jacked up at the beginning. Unless we pop them in the mouth a couple times and go up 14-0, you can take the crowd out of it. We've seen that too. We sat with each other in 15.
And they were leaving.
They were leaving. They're like, who is this? I remember the man behind us because we were like on the last row of Ole Miss fans in either NN or M, whatever section that is. And Alabama people were directly behind us. I remember a man with his wife going, like, they are kicking the dog crap out of us. We're leaving. Like, I remember him saying, we're not as good as they are. I can hear him still talking to her. Like, let's go. Because it was an 8:15 kickoff. They were already tired. They're ready to roll. I don't think that it's not as much. I think we're a good football team. I just think we have a great, and here's another thing. Our best player is not our quarterback. Our best player is our kicker. And that could, help us. I mean, that's not to say Jackson Dart's a bad player. Our kicker should be kicking for the Oakland Raiders right now. So to me, I mean, I think that helps when it comes to like it's 4th and 6 on the 38, and Kiffin's like, you know what, kick the 54-yarder. Go take
y'all
points.
Noticed, like, since he realized he has a good kicker, he's just like, dude, he's just pressing that button every other play. Like I think he's going to start kicking on 2nd down. Like,
let's just say though, like in this particular game, Alabama, whereas let's say they start out high and they score their opening 2 drives, they score touchdowns, and instead of us going for it on 4th and 6, we kick 2 field goals. Well, 14-6 is not insurmountable. 14-0, it's like, dang, dude, like we need turnovers at that point.
All right, so we got
a chance. I mean,
Ben and Austin both predicting wins. Nick, are you on that same boat?
Man,
he's on the cover boat, I think is what I heard.
I think we're going to cover. I just, my worry with Alabama is that, you know, animals are most dangerous when their backs are against the wall. And, you know, I get it. I acknowledge all good things must come to an end, but I just don't know that it
is their back against the wall though.
That. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they could still win the West. They don't have a conference loss. I mean,
but
everything is in front of Alabama.
Their next loss puts them almost certainly out of unless they ran the table, it puts them out of the conference, the CFP discussion, and then they'd have to beat LSU and they'd have to beat Georgia. So I think their back's against the wall. So, and also, I mean, if they lose to us, like they're staring down the. I mean, we would have the tiebreaker at the end of everything if they were to beat Alabama, and we'd each have a loss. You know, if we lost to if they were to beat LSU, we were to lose to Georgia. So I definitely think the back's against the wall.
What's the total here? 55, 54 and a half, 55, something like that.
I kind of think the under's the plays, honestly.
Total is
they just threw out the generic college total on us.
55.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
4 touchdowns a team.
Yeah, they're like, we don't know. 55.
Yeah. I am I'm going to lock Ole Miss in here.
Good night.
There we go. Now we're talking.
And I see sevens out there, by the way, Ben. I mean,
I want Ole Miss +7. They don't have a quarterback. Like they have 1,000,000 5-stars. I'm not an idiot, but like if Alabama wins 34-28, Ole Miss covers. That's not an unrealistic. Alabama is one-dimensional right now. Give me Ole Miss +7.
So normally the way to combat this argument, because I do it, and I think y'all do too. Most people, this isn't some like revelation of how to pick games. I will first and foremost always look at the quarterback. Quarterback matchup favors Ole Miss in a big way. I don't think that's outlandish to say. And then I'm looking at the lines of scrimmage. I think it's probably pretty even, which is insane to say. And then I'm looking at skill guys, you know, who's a game breaker, who can bust a big play. Right now, Ole Miss has got that. I mean, look, he wasn't getting much attention early in the year, you know, for good reason because of the transfer receivers that Ole Miss brought in. But Jordan Watkins is a game breaker now. When his number is called, he's making plays. Dayton Wade.
He looks faster, man.
Yeah, Watkins does.
Watkins looks faster, yeah.
I talk to people that are field level at games, and they say he looks completely different from last year.
He ran away from those Georgia Tech DBs. No, I know that's not Alabama DBs, but he ran away from them.
They had angles on him, and he ran away. Dayton Wade has. I mean, the dude. Is he on scholarship yet?
No, but he should be.
Okay, they've got to.
Dayton Wade is not on scholarship.
He's not. He's a walk-on.
What?
I mean, somebody needs to give up scholarship.
Neat was on scholarship for 4 years. That is oh my God.
It's a deep cut.
Was Richie Contretesie on scholarship? I don't think so. I hope not. Mother of God. But so what I'm getting at is these dudes are making plays, and you add into the fact, my God, we buried the lead on this show this week. Caden Prieskorn, Zachary Franklin, and Trey Harris are all expected to play.
Yes.
We know what Trey Harris is. I mean, the dude has 5 touchdowns in less than 2 full games. He can be a game breaker. And then Zachary Franklin, I mean, everybody calls him the slant monster. I mean, he was just a yak machine on a really good UTSA team that won the Conference USA title. I think they won 11 games. He's playing for the first time, and Caden Prieskorn's playing for the first time, who was really good at Memphis.
These are old guys. They are old. That helps when you're playing, when it feels like you're playing the Jets, like Nick said.
And defensively, too, we've said it all year. these are transfers that are in the secondary, that are at linebacker, at all three levels on defense. They're older guys. These aren't former 4-stars that are redshirt freshmen, or like this is their true sophomore year after, they transferred to Ole Miss for their second year. I mean, these are guys that have played a lot of football. John Saunders.
And guys who they know that they have to make if they're going to make the NFL, this is it.
And by the way, DeAndre Prince is playing the best ball of his career.
Oh, he's good. He's a very good player.
He's playing like an NFL
First team All-SEC guy. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But Dejon Anthony, John Saunders, Zamari Walton, Deshaun Gaddy. Tasia Young. Tons and tons and tons of experience. So Ben made a great point about that. We're like, in a hostile environment early on, you need those types of leaders to keep people in check. And like, if Ole Miss were to go, 6 and out, you need those guys on defense. Like, hey, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to get it back. No identity at Alabama, and y'all been in that building for games like this. There is going to be a ton of nervous energy in there. I don't care how loud they are in the beginning. They are going to be nervous. And I think that the team can feel that. Ole Miss has been like that a lot, where like what was 2003 LSU, 2014 Auburn,
or hell, any Ole Miss baseball game.
2015 Arkansas, like that nervous energy, like it seeps down onto the sidelines.
2009 Virginia.
I think Ole Miss comes out early and hits a couple big plays. Maybe one of those deep over routes to Watkins, or they hit a big one to Trey Harris, or Priestcorn pops loose in the middle of the field. Again, like talking about game breakers, Alabama doesn't have a Rolando McClain or a Dante Hightower over there. Like they don't have those guys right now. At least right now, like they're not making those plays. They're not shutting people down. Like Will Anderson's not on that team. So
Rolando McClain is probably like 38 years old. That was like a deep pull.
Like it's wild to talk about Alabama like this, but I expect Ole Miss to go in and win. I predicted 31-21. I think Ole Miss controls the game. I think they're going to be crafty enough in the run game. I'm really excited to see if they implement some Spencer Sanders, some run packages for him to give Dart a break. That's what I thought that the whole reason for bringing him in was. When they go tempo, you get a big play downfield, or Dart has a 25-yard run out Spencer Sanders real quick, even just to hand it off, but give Alabama something else to prepare for. I'm with everybody here. I like Ole Miss to win outright for sure.
So Zach, to your point on the nervous energy, it's a great way to put it, and I think that's what Nick's talking about. Frankly, is you've got it with nervous energy. If they jump on Ole Miss, that place will get rowdy quick. Mm-hmm. But if you jump on them, they just get that much more. I mean, you're a pick six away from that being, I mean, you're pick sixing away from that being quite the opposite. Booing, who are we going to play at quarterback? The dynasty is over. You can just hear them talking like, well, it was a good run, that kind of deal.
If Ole Miss goes down, let's say 6-play drive, punches it in, up 7-0, kickoff, second or third play of the drive. If Milroe throws a pick six or a pick, not even a pick six, if he throws a pick, they might start booing.
Oh, there will be boos at that point. Look, even just at 7-0 here, but they'll get loud though for the defense at that. So one thing to Ole Miss's advantage is the 2:30 kick. That is not the same type of environment as a 7 p.m. kick, as an 8 p.m. kick. It's just you just can't drink enough for fans to get rowdy enough at that point. And it's also not at night. People are just naturally more, fired up at night. Well, I'm going to get out in front of this and say this. Like it's time for Quinshon to step up. I mean, like this is like a step up or step out moment for him this year. Like if you're going to be, it's time. If you're going to be the guy that's going to get It's just time. It's time. If you're going to be the NFL guy, if you're going to play somewhere else, I'm not really worried about next year, but you have to step up in games like this. This is what separates guys who are like sore from guys who just like step up and Dude, take over.
If you're commanding the NIL price tag that he is, let's just be blunt about it. This is what it's for. You're not getting that to show out against Tulane. You're getting it for this game. Like, this game is the one that matters. Like, it's time. Now, look, the offensive line has not done him any favors today. They've not. They've not.
I agree.
But it didn't seem to be a problem for Bentley, and Dart seems to have found some success on the ground. So, put your foot in the ground and go, man.
Well, hell, the narrative of if not now, when for Kiffin beating Saban in Alabama, if not now, when for when Quinshon Judkins is going to get motivated to step up this year, because you're playing at Alabama in your home state, a program that didn't think you were good enough, never gave you the time of day until after you were consensus freshman All-American, and then they start trying to tamper. I mean, come on, man. Like, the disrespect. I mean, play that angle. I mean, play that card if you want. Play the villain. Play the, everybody's.
It's just time for him. It's time for him to run as hard as he did at A&M last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he ran his ass off last year against Bama, but you got to do it now because they're going to need him. Yeah, I mean, I think outside of just the obvious storylines in this one, the biggest one for Ole Miss is you really need to see some positive reps from Prieskorn and Zachary Franklin.
Now, with that said, Zach, about Quinshon, I'm not meaning to talk over you with the Prieskorn deal. I agree. Prieskorn's probably more important than any other addition.
Potentially, yeah.
Let's get out in front of Trey Harris. Trey Harris is 21 or 22. He had a sprain in his knee. That's my understanding. I don't know what he had, but that was the rumor.
That's what I was told.
People come back from that, dude. Like, he's going to be – now, I don't know how effective or ineffective, but he's in his early 20s. I was in my early 20s once and not as athletic as him, and those guys heal fast. Like, you just do. You could pull a hamstring at that age and, like, and play in 2 weeks. Like, it's not a – anyway, so having those guys huge, Franklin, that's going to be huge, Prieskorn, all that kind of deal. Let me say this about the Judkins thing. Ironically, I picked Ole Miss to win, not expecting Judkins of last year. Like, that has nothing to do with – I mean, if he could show up, I mean, with all the – I mean, Ole Miss could, like, win the division. Like,
yeah, the last year of divisions.
It's all in front of them. That's what's so crazy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, you can't control everyone. I'm not picking Ole Miss to win at Alabama, and I'm not relying on Judkins to rush for 200. If he does, then book hotels in Atlanta, because game on at that point. Because Jackson Dart is playing like an All-American, and if we also had an All-American running back to show up, the offense would be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, if Prieskorn can emerge as a go-to target, and then you add in Zachary Franklin with the already stout wide receiver room, I mean, the offense is going to be just as deadly as it was in 2020.
Y'all remember that we almost had Keon Coleman in this offense too, right?
Yeah.
Nick didn't even talk about Judkins, but I heard him go off of mute because I heard his mic. I figured he was gonna.
He was crying.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say about Judkins. My point stands. There's a reason that they don't pay running backs a ton of money in the NFL. Just say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. And look. I'm
not trying to cause
yards this year.
Yeah, I'm not. I hope he wins the Heisman Trophy, but I really don't. I mean, I don't know that our success hinges on him. I just, I think we're in bigger trouble if we lose the quarterback.
Yeah,
being honest with you.
But I mean, ultimately, my point is that like a really good offensive line is just worth more to a team than a really good running back. That's all there is to it. I think, unless it's Adrian Peterson or like another similar like Derrick Henry
Bo
type.
Jackson.
I mean, like yeah, of course, like the top 5 running backs of all time, sure, but like just like the top 5 running backs in a given year. Yeah, offensive line is probably more important than the,
To be fair,
Judkins is up there.
To be fair, he had the best freshman year since Herschel Walker, so he's in.
Yeah, he's good.
He was in rarefied air last year,
but he needs to play hard.
Yeah.
But okay, my point here would be the odds are stacked overwhelmingly against him that he's a future NFL Hall of Famer, right? Yeah. And my point is that like short of an NFL Hall of Famer, AP, Derrick Henry, Bo Jackson. Like I just think the line's worth more. That's all there is to it. Lines just do so much more because like if Judkins doesn't have the ball, then he's just like standing out there, maybe blocking a dude. But like the lines are involved in every single play, and you guys saw what happened in the first half against Tulane. If you have a bad offensive line, it blows up the entire offense. Like it ruins everything.
His rushing against Tulane was nothing on him. He was getting hit as he was getting the ball.
There was one time we did a little pitch out there to the left, and like a faster defense would have taken that pitch to the other way. Like
they would have caught it in the air.
Yeah, it was
ball that play of the play sheet up and throw that play away. The toss pitch thing that Weiss likes to do,
like delayed toss.
I don't want to see it a single time.
If it happens against Alabama, I would bet my life we're losing yards on it.
Yeah.
And I hope he runs for 200 yards. I really do.
I hope 50 of them are on the toss pitch.
And for a touchdown to win.
You know they're going to run it because they're going to try to set up some kind of play action off of it.
It's just
y'all
crazy...
remember when we faked that toss and hit 26 in 16?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was
remember.
sex right there.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into other picks. I know Ben's locked in Ole Miss plus 7.
Game starts in like 36 hours, so we got to get rolling.
All right, Austin, you got one?
Yeah, let's do. Well, might as well. Let's get our hate on. Oregon is playing Colorado this week. Now I know I just said the Texas number, the Ole Miss number, markets change. They get more efficient. I know I said all that. So I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. But somebody's going to have to explain to me how in week 1, Colorado can go on the road to TCU. Y'all remember that line? 23 and a half.
Yeah.
23 and a half at TCU in week 1. Fast forward 3 weeks, they're without their best player at 2 positions. Travis Hunter is their best receiver and their best corner. They're without him. They're going 2 outs in, which is harder to play in than TCU. How can they be only 21 on the road at Oregon? That I can't square that circle. And again, I know that Colorado is much better than we thought they were going into the year. I just think Oregon would be like 13-14 against TCU. I think Oregon is a far superior team to TCU, and I think they're a far superior team to Colorado. But because Dion loves to chunk the ball around late to pad Shadour's numbers, I'm going to, I think, take a safer approach here. Rather than going full game number, I'm going to take a derivative number. Give me Oregon first half minus 13.5.
First half minus 13.5?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're going to really struggle from not having Travis Hunter. Like, I think that's like he is without a doubt their best player other than Sanders. And not having him on both sides of the ball, that's going to be a killer.
Yeah, I mean, he's an
NFL player.
Yeah, he's like it's a cluster injury.
Top 10 pick,
because on both sides of the ball, it's tough. Like Colorado does not have the depth to sustain an injury like that at 2 positions.
Yeah,
I agree. Got my second pick whenever y'all are ready, but y'all can.
And actually, Zach, I just checked. I'm seeing a 12 now on Oregon first half. Are y'all
okay?
Yeah, if it's 20, that's about right.
Yeah,
right,
so I played a bad number earlier in the week, but I'll definitely take the 12.
All right, let me go ahead and toss this one out real quick. Just go ahead and get this under out of the way. No one likes to watch Big Ten football. No one likes to watch Michigan. I sure don't. So don't do this. Just bet the under 44 in this Rutgers travels to Michigan game. Line's 24 for Michigan. I expect you will see a medium-sized number for Michigan, maybe in the low to mid-30s. and a really, really small number next to Rutgers' name. I just think it's going to be an ugly one. It seems like a game that's like there's like a 3-hour rain delay. I haven't checked the weather for Ann Arbor, but I just feel like you turn that game on, and you're like, wait, why is this game in the first quarter? It's 8:30, and it's because there was a rain delay. Just no one cares to watch it. No one wants to be there. This is that game. Rutgers still, I mean, I guess they're better than years past. They did kind of whip up on Virginia Tech last week, but I don't think that their offense is going to do a whole lot against Michigan. And I really don't think that Michigan, thus far this year, they've scored 30, 35, and 31. I don't think they have any reason to just like pour it on Rutgers. If you told me this game was like 24-3, that's like, yeah, I could totally see that. Under 44, love this number.
And by the way, Michigan hasn't covered a spread yet this year. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, and they've not exactly. They've East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. They've also total given up 16 points. Yeah. So I think you'll expect to see that trend. This is a game, again, I implore you, don't watch it.
And it's also the Lazarus game for Jim Harbaugh, back from the dead after the tribute. And
they'll be playing for him then. Maybe this is a bad pick.
No, they'll just suffocate Rutgers.
They'll just sit on them. All right. Had to do it to him. Probably the game that I will have on the big screen after Ole Miss takes on Alabama. We are going to the Palouse, 6:00. Oregon State at Washington State. I am going with the Cougs +3 here. It is probably one of the better games of the weekend.
No doubt.
Between two teams that have just kind of rebranded quickly. And dude, going back to the identity thing, they have identities. Oregon State and Jonathan Smith are going to try to control. And then Wazoo with Cam Ward, who Ole Miss at one time was really wanting to add him to the roster. He's really kind of rounded out his game and found a place where he can thrive in that offense. I like the Cougs, man. It's tough to go up to the Palouse and win. That's a really, really weird place to play a football game. That place will be rocking. I like them to pull off the, quote, shocker here. They've been really good at home. They never trailed in that win over Wisconsin. And yeah, Cam Ward completing 72% of his passes, no picks. He has 9 touchdowns. And as good as Oregon State's defense has been early, I just kind of have a sneaky feeling that Wazoo's going to get it done here. People are calling this the Unwanted Bowl.
I was going to say, does this count as the conference championship? Like these are the last two left.
This is the Pac-2. Yeah, I'm going with the Cougs. I think it'll be a fun game. I love when Wazoo does some kind of cool uniform with their gray. I think their gray is really good. It's hard to pull off gray. It's not a great color. I think it's like Wazoo and Ohio State do it well. Yeah, sell out. It'll be rocking up there at Nick, correct me. Is it Martin Field?
It used to. Well, it's still Martin Field, but it's like Wessu Stadium or something random now. They changed the name, but yeah, this is like the brotherly love game. I saw today the ADs of both schools had, instead of having like the the Pac-12 logo behind their Zoom background, they had like a mix Oregon State, Washington State, like repeating background. These teams, and also from apparently it's like almost a done deal. These teams are going to play a home and home next year because they're struggling to get games, obviously. And I was like, I kind of wish they'd play like a double home and home. I would be sick. So yeah, I love this game. And these two teams, I feel bad for them, and I really enjoy Washington State and Oregon State football. So it's kind of a bummer that they're gonna almost be relegated the next few years. So enjoy it while you can.
It sucks, man. I'm not the first to point it out, but those are the two fan bases. Those are two fan bases that actually care about sports in that conference.
Shit. Nobody gives a shit on the West Coast. Washington State fans are die hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is. So it's Gesa Field at Martin Stadium.
Yeah, I knew it was they bastardized it and gave it a real name. But yeah, Martin Stadium.
And I don't know about y'all, because I watch a lot of Pac-12 After Dark, but I think their stadium is cool.
It's a cool little stadium, and in Research Stadium they've updated down at Oregon State now.
Yeah.
Again, it stinks that we're losing. Like, this is like a legitimately cool game. I can't wait to watch Stanford play Northwestern or Cal play Illinois. I mean, gosh, man, everyone's dying to watch those games. Or I mean, everyone's like, well, there's obviously USC too, but like, who cares about UCLA, Iowa?
Yeah,
I don't even care about UCLA, Ohio State.
But do you actually care? You don't care about USC, Maryland either. Like,
no, I don't.
It's just trash. Like, nobody cares about that game.
We're adding okay, it'll be cool when Michigan and Ohio State play USC. That's almost like the end of the coolness there. I mean, it's really not like. And how often are they going to play? I mean, they're not going to play every year. It's a massive conference. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. Sorry.
All right, Ben, you got another one?
Yeah, I can't really figure this line out. So let's go to Lawrence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Where the Jayhawks are laying 9.5.
This is a crazy line.
To BYU. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Are they expecting
BYU
a
team that just
letdown?
beat an SEC team on the road?
Yeah, they just beat Arkansas on the road.
That game was drunk as hell too. Did y'all watch that? Like
it was so weird.
It was off the rails.
So I'm gonna take BYU plus 9.5. Simply, I mean, Kansas laying 9.5.
If Kansas beats them by 10, they're like legitimately good. I mean, maybe they are.
Man, Kansas almost lost last week to Nevada. I mean, they struggled in that game.
Yeah, weren't they without somebody on offense?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
But Keaton Slovis, and he's like 35 years old. We actually played against each other in high school, and I'm like saving for retirement. No, I'm kidding. But they, BYU, simply based on the fact that they went to Arkansas, won a game in Fayetteville, regardless of how drunk it was, that's still a big deal. I mean, Ole Miss can't do it. And so, and they went and successfully did that. Now they're getting 9.5 at Kansas. Doesn't make sense. Kansas is not a football school. They're a basketball school, will always be a basketball school, no matter who their coach is. So give me the points. I'm not even going to provide a lot of analysis here. Like, this just, it's almost too good to be true.
Nick, do you know, are they still letting students in for free?
Kansas?
Because didn't they do that promotion at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still doing it. Just to piggyback off Ben's thing, like, it's almost one of those games where we're going to look back and like Kansas beats them 36-10, and we're like, oh yeah, Vegas knew what they were talking about. This makes no sense. I mean, like, there's not that many Power 5 like good teams we'd be 10-point favorites against, and Kansas, it blows my mind.
If BYU played in Oxford, we would be what would we like 15.5?
Yeah,
Are we 6 points better than Kansas?
I mean, what was Georgia Tech? What did it close at? 18?
18.5, yeah.
I think BYU's better than Georgia Tech, don't y'all?
Yeah, so 14.5 maybe in Oxford.
But this
doesn't make sense. Unless they're thinking of like a hangover from BYU.
Now, I did see earlier in the week, I think there was threat of weather in the Midwest and Kansas included. Now, I don't think BYU can go ground and pound either, but maybe that's influencing the number here. What's the total? Do we have a really low total?
For BYU?
Yeah. Because I can imagine with a compressed total, maybe that accounts for, I don't know.
55, the traditional number.
Yeah, they just hung the, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me, which means I should be taking Kansas. I should be taking Kansas because it just seems too obvious. I mean, BYU has the better quarterback. I don't get this at all.
I like it.
So I'm taking the Cougs.
Are you looking for a premier golf course in Northwest Mississippi or the Memphis, Tennessee area? Well, look no further than Cherokee Valley Golf Club in Olive Branch. It's less than 15 minutes from the Memphis International Airport and is one of the finest in the Magnolia State. The 18-hole par 72 course includes 4 sets of tees, tips out at 6,751, 11 lakes, 52 bunkers. You can also check out the lodge-style clubhouse. So if you're in the area and you're looking for a premier golf experience, look no further than Cherokee Valley Golf Club. Check them out, olivebranchgolf.com. You can give them a call, 662-893-4444.
This podcast also comes to you thanks to Bluff City Advisory Group, Memphis's leading team of finance professionals who can provide advanced assistance with financial planning, pension, and qualified plan support, and business and estate planning strategies as well. Former Ole Miss Rebel and founding partner Ben Still, along with his elite-level customer service team, make it their goal to help you meet the ongoing demands of your financial needs. Learn about this and more at bluffcityadvisory.com.
All right, Austin.
Yeah.
Before we go, last week, the pick of the week was Kansas State, and they lost.
Yeah.
Not only did they not cover, they lost.
Damn it.
And then the second pick of the week was Tennessee. Not only did they not cover, they got blown out.
Yeah.
So
we were, I mean, this is hashtag gambling, obviously, but I mean, two lines there that we believed were absolutely locks. And those two stinkers kept us from a 10-2 week collectively.
Yeah.
Because Nick, sorry, just double overtime. You're not getting under 62. That sucked.
I was on the right side though. I said, wait, didn't we go 9-3?
Yeah.
So we were fluke
now
games away
over
from 11-1.
Yeah, we're now over 500 for the year. We're heating back up like we were a couple years ago.
Marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon.
That's correct. Can confirm. Have done one.
All right. So I've been against this team for the very outset.
That wasn't a flex. I was just saying it sucks. And you
definitely a flex.
Pace yourself.
Yeah.
Look,
I've only done one.
So I've been on understate from the get-go, under 6.5.
Yep.
Last week was very encouraging for my under season long bet. I'm going to continue to bet against this state team until I see reason not to. Arnett is in over his head. He gets frustrated when his offense can't move the ball and just runs the engage 8 play from NCAA football like 10 times in a row. Like that's what they do. That's their game plan. I think he's going to be severely outcoached in this matchup. I think South Carolina has the better quarterback. It's at South Carolina, whose offensive line this year has not been great, but last week showed signs of life against the Georgia front that is much better than State's front. I trust Rattler and South Carolina's weapons on the road. Under a touchdown feels like a layup to me. How does State score against anybody at this point? I don't know. Give me Carolina winning 30-13. 6 feels easy.
Yeah, it does.
That's a place we're talking about. Martin Stadium up in Pullman. Williams-Brice will be,
and this is a late kick, right? 6:30.
Unhinged. Yes, it's a night game.
Yeah,
it will be bonkers up there.
I think they'll probably take this is a bad way to be, but a moral victory from that Georgia game. Be like, we're not that bad. They'll look encouraged by it, truly.
No, I think so. I think so. Look, for long stretches of that game, they looked like the better team. And then, Georgia showed up and finished them off. As Zach put it, South Carolina just kind of ran out of gas. They were running on fumes by the end of that game. And that makes sense because Georgia's much deeper and has a much better roster. But Mississippi State does not. And I think Arnett's in trouble. I think he's in trouble.
I think they might have fired up the agent machine down there.
Yep.
A great question for this would be, where does State win a matchup in this game?
Without the air raid, they definitely can't do it at quarterback.
No.
Maybe Jaquavius Marks is better than the 9-headed monster that South Carolina runs out at running back, but that's a stretch.
I like Tulu Griffin, and
he's a weapon in special teams.
State has a really good, one of their linebackers is really good, and they've got a couple of good defensive linemen. But
they're old. Remember, guys, they're old, and that's going to make it at some point that will come into play. Is what we were told all off season.
Austin, as you like to say, experience doesn't matter when it's shit experience.
Exactly. Like, who gives a shit? And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a bunch of old guys who weren't good
Momo
enough to
Sonogo was once old.
Yeah, they're not good enough to be NFL players, and they're playing against NFL players in games against LSU and games against South Carolina. In this league, you play NFL players, and State doesn't have them.
Yeah, I'll steal this from Tom Fernelli on the Cover 3 podcast, I did hear him say this, and I was like, damn, I haven't heard anybody say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's true for linebackers too. He was talking about running backs. He was talking about how Bama has senior running backs, and he was like, you don't want senior running backs.
Yeah.
You want those dudes in the NFL.
There's no tread left on those tires. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just not good enough. And I think the same goes for linebackers. Like, you want linebackers to play for 2, maybe 3 years and then go to the league.
Mm-hmm. And just by the way, digging into the numbers last week, Rodgers had 107 passing yards.
I mean, he was like 10 of 23, wasn't he? It was
so
my man's down bad.
They're bad.
Man, I would be so mad if I were him because he was going to go down as like a goat at State.
Dude,
like
he should have. When he realized they weren't going air raid again, he should have bolted. He should have hit the portal and gone to Texas State or somewhere.
Yeah, could you imagine him with our boy Gary Joe?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's perfect for that. Like, go somewhere that's running the true air raid or the closest thing to it. He would have put up crazy numbers again this year and may have actually gotten decent NFL buzz. Playing this offense, people see him for exactly what he is. He's not an NFL quarterback, and I mean, I think we're going to see that week in and week out now.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah.
Where are we going in the Big Ten or the MAC?
I'm actually going to go to a future Big Ten team, and head out west.
You're going to say futures bet.
No. In case you guys have not noticed, the line in the Utah UCLA game moved a little bit today.
It's steaming.
Where's
it going?
It's headed towards Utah. Where the Cam Rising is going to be playing, I think I don't know if that's like out yet, but I think it's pretty obvious when the line moved 2 points in a day. What's happening? Lines up to 6, started around 4, I believe, for Utah. -6 now. I just don't think that this UCLA team is like exceptional. I kind of think they're built up on the fact that they're 3-0 against like Bowling Green Coastal Carolina, who's not very good, San Diego State, and then an FCS team. And I think that Utah's defense is legit. I mean, I obviously, what they did against Florida maybe looks a little bit better than it did at the time, which what we thought was good, and maybe even looks even better now. Kind of sleptwalked a little bit of Baylor that next week, but the defense was still very good. And then last week, did what they had to do against Weber State. Utah's defense is good. Cam Rising is also very good. I don't necessarily think that he's going to come out like show out in his first game back, but I think the offense is good enough to put up some points. So Utah -6. I mean, it's less than a touchdown. I mean, that's huge. I definitely think if you're getting this game though, watch it because it could be something that ends up north of 7 by the time kick gets here on Saturday.
Yeah, if Rising gets announced, you're going to see one-way traffic on that number. And as you said, Nick, I mean, it's already moving that direction. But if they announce that he's starting, this thing could go to like 10.
Yeah, I like kind of like what happened with us at Tulane, and all of a sudden, like we're sitting there, like when the teams came out on the field, it was like it gone up 3 points, and then all of a sudden it was like 14 right before kickoff, and you're like, wait, what just happened? And I don't necessarily think it's going to go to like 14, but if you told me it was 8 or 9 or 10 by the time kickoff comes on Saturday, I would definitely believe that, because like I said, it went from either 4 or 4.5 to 6 today, and that doesn't happen on a Thursday afternoon without some news being out there. And once it goes public, it's going to move some more. It's going to cross the number of 7 for sure.
I was actually leaning taking UCLA here. I like what Chip Kelly's done. Finally,
was it Dante Moore? He's good.
He's very good. But if Cam Rising's there now, it will be his first action for the year. We don't know how that knee is gonna be, but this is in Rice Eccles, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be that'll be a hornet's nest. So we'll see how good the 18-year-old is there. Okay, I am going to go, and I know you guys are excited for this one, and y'all are probably like, damn, you stole it. Like, I can't believe you're going to go there, but I'm headed to Pratt and Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, I actually did consider this game.
And I'm taking the over. It's just 44. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I think there might be weather.
Oh, is there? Son of a bitch. Yeah, I can get it at 44, and it looks like, at least according to AccuWeather, it's cloudy, 71.
Like the hurricane that's in the Atlantic, right? But I think that may be like a Saturday night thing for up in Connecticut. Hopefully, maybe. What's the line? What, -22?
Yes, 20 and a half, 21 and a half.
Oof.
Looks like 97% chance of rain.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
Zach, we need to circle back to you.
Yeah, because I'm not doing that now. Fuck. Sorry, I'm not up on my nutmeg state weather.
Yeah, well, you always got to be watching the Atlantic,
Once you get into the totals game, you got to start checking AccuWeather.
Absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, circle back. I got one.
Ben, what you got? Ben, you already at 3?
He's on mute.
No, I've been on mute trying to get it off.
Yeah.
It sounds so defeated.
I know.
I was trying to get it. So
Ben, apologize.
I'm down to 2 games. So, well, 3 really. So I'm going to talk about all of them, and maybe we can collectively come up with the best. UCF is without John Rice Plumlee, and Kansas State's going to get a get-right game against them at home, laying 3.5.
Yes, yes.
That's a great pick. I like James Madison -5.5 at Utah State. Utah State is terrible. And James Madison, they covered for me. Not only did they cover, they beat Troy last
They're just
week.
good, man. They're just a good program.
And
I wish so badly they could go to a
defensive
bowl.
lineman, and he's from there.
Yeah.
That's the one.
What are you saying?
I wish so badly they could go to a bowl. It's so stupid that they're.
Why are they still doing this? This is
I don't understand, because I understand like the idea of you don't want teams moving up and like dropping immediately back down, but like that's never happened before.
Yeah, nobody's done that. Yeah,
no one's done it. I mean, it would be crazy to put on, or just do this. Like, okay, if you do that, we'll fine you $10 million. No one's doing it. But I mean, like,
we're solving problems that don't exist.
But I mean, like, from a fairness standpoint, they're student athletes, which they're far more student athletes at James Madison than they are at Ole Miss, which is like the ideal of the NCAA is to protect the student athletes. They're student athletes that went there and are like their second and third or third and fourth years at James Madison. They can't play in a bowl or a conference championship game. Like, what point are we proving here? Like,
ridiculous.
It's just, it's stupid.
All right, I agree. The last of the ones that I may pick. UTSA in Knoxville.
No, don't do this. UTSA's, they're mailing it in.
And
I think quarterback is banged up.
I was gonna say Frank Harris is hurt. He was dating.
Y'all talk me into it. I'm going to take James Madison.
Love
the
it.
Dukes.
The Dukes. Yeah, love it.
On the road, laying 5.5.
Sneaky cool stadium.
State. Blake Anderson.
At Utah State. I love that.
Correct.
Dude, every stadium in that state is cool.
Yeah,
they shout out to our boys Stephen Hartzell and Joe Troy and Big Dukes guys.
Actually worked with a guy who went to Utah State. Who was their quarterback?
Chucky Keaton.
Yeah.
That dude was slanging it.
Wait, okay. Who was their quarterback? I thought you were saying. I was like, dude, there's no way this guy's still there. Okay, I thought I was going crazy.
Okay, so Ben's got 3 in the books. If we're gonna circle back to me, let me double check here who they're playing, because I'm kind of in Ben's boat on. God, I hate to do this, because if they don't, I'm gonna just try to break my phone in half. I'm going to lay the 14 with Oklahoma. Actually, I can get 13.5 at FanDuel. Do we really think Cincinnati's that good? Like, do we really think that Emory Jones is that good?
No.
I think this is like the games that it doesn't matter who the head coach is at Oklahoma. These are the games where they try to run it up and they try to make examples of people just to flex before an actual game happens. And I don't know if Art Briles will be on the field pre or post game for this one, but I think Jeff Levy, Austin, you talk about apologize. I'm pretty sure he apologized.
Did he
Because
finally apologize? Because he was pretty defiant initially, anyway.
I think I want to say I heard that he might have done something to rectify it.
Right.
Look,
I mean, he pulled the whole, grandfather of my kids thing, and
yeah,
which cool, but like,
which I
doesn't mean he gets to
understand,
go on
but
the
like
field.
my dog, like, do you need hearing aids for how tone deaf you are?
Well,
Like,
yeah, and I think the problem there was apparently they had covered that when he
isn't
was
it in his
hired.
contract?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue is like, yeah, you knew that when you signed away the right to be seen with Art Briles in Oklahoma gear, bro.
I mean, dude, and like somebody said that somebody said that Art Briles looked like I saw like people were cooking him on Twitter. They're like, he looks like an extra on Sons of Anarchy, or he looked like Billy Bob Thornton. I mean, he was getting, because he does look like shit.
Yeah.
And he's got some kind of like, does he have like blonde and like his goatee or something?
He did for a while. Yeah, he went. Yeah. He died something when he like was the high school coach or whatever. Didn't he coach high school or JUCO or something for a couple years?
He was. Yeah. Oh wait, he coached high school for sure, and then didn't he go overseas?
Oh, maybe.
I got a computer right here. Yeah, he was at Estra Guelphi. Oh, that's where Tavian Robinson's from. So he was in
Oh, really?
Canada.
Yeah.
Then he went to Mount Vernon High School in Texas. Then he went. So he's back at Estra Guelphi in Canada. He did have a stint in the Italian Football League. I mean, just an enormous scumbag, still getting paid somehow. All right. So yeah, I'm locking in Oklahoma minus 14. Dylan Gabriel and Levy, all jokes aside, they have a great connection. That offense is humming. And again, like I said, if they can put it on a Cincinnati team that I don't believe in whatsoever, I think they're going to get it done here. That's 11 a.m. Fox at Nippert. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Emory Jones has been fine. I don't want to stomp on him too much, but yeah, I like Dylan Gabriel and them to get it done, because they put up 66 on Tulsa, 73 on Arkansas State. They were kind of snoozy against SMU last week, but they covered.
They seem to be on a mission. And the thing about them too is if it gets, let's say they go up big by 20, 24, whatever, and they go to the backup, hell, he may be better than Dylan Gabriel. So it's tough to claw your way back in it, even with a big dog. If you're hoping for the back door, if they keep throwing the ball around, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, and Jackson Arnold's going to come in like Matt Jones does for Ole Miss. He's going to try to throw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, he's the closer.
Dude, this is a year that Texas goes to Alabama and wrecks them, and then gets popped by Oklahoma.
It'll be something stupid.
Could happen, man.
Oh, it could. That's gonna be an awesome game.
Yeah. All right. Am I back up?
Yeah.
Man, I want to get involved in one of the big games of the weekend. There's so many big games this weekend: Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Florida State, Clemson, but those numbers are really, really sharp to me. It feels like the market is dead on in most of those. So I'm gonna go to another. I think I want to do another derivative number here. Ben mentioned UTSA at Tennessee. I think I'm going to do Tennessee in a bounce back here. First half team total over 20.5. I just need 21 points out of Tennessee in the first half. I think they get there. UTSA seems to be
they're like dead in the water.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly said. I don't know that they've quit on Traylor, who's a really good coach. I just don't think they have the dudes, and they've had a tough schedule right out of the gate. But last week against Army, man, the effort did not look great. They got rolled up by a pretty average Army team. I know Tennessee, got their ass whipped last week by Florida, but I think Heupel needs to put a number on the board get some of the Big Orange faithful back on board.
Those psychos in the Eastern time zone are groveling already.
Exactly. So I expect a number in the first half and maybe throw it in cruise control in the second half. Surely Tennessee can give me 21 points in the first half against UTSA. So let's do that. Over 20.5, Tennessee team total over first half.
All right, Nick, you got one more? Probably on mute.
And he's gone.
Yeah, no, I'm not muted. Zach, it's your turn because I'm still looking.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on this bandwagon on the flats that might be okay. We saw him last week up close and personal. And look, Haynes King wasn't bad. And they got some dudes at receiver. I like the Eric Singleton Jr. kid can really run. He got behind the defense. Good. He got behind the defense a couple times. And Brent Key, like they again, the buzzword here for this episode, they have an identity. They're going to play defense, and they've got a good quarterback now. This is not your granddad's Wake. They don't have Sam Hartman. He will be in South Bend. This one seems funky. I hope I'm not on the wrong side of this one. I don't know how Wake is favored here, but I like Georgia Tech to get a dub, get plus 3.5. I like them to win outright.
It's a must win for Tech if they're going to bowl. I mean, they got to have this one.
Yes, they have to. And the weather does not look great, but give me Georgia Tech with some physicality and that Jamal Haynes kid's not bad at running back.
No, and like you said, Kings look pretty good, man. I mean, compared to when we last saw him
week
at A&M, he's like a different dude.
Yeah, I like it's kind of a wrong team favored type game here. It's on the CW network at 5:30.
Good.
You can
right
watch
after Sister.
I was gonna say you can watch what is that? Oh my god, I used to watch it. Yeah, you can watch some Riverdale and then watch this game.
That's right. All right, I found an uglier game somehow than the other two that I bet on. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going back to the Big Ten well. I don't know what's gotten into me this week. The game of the week on CBS, it's where Danielson and Nessler will be. This is the whiteout game, Penn State, Iowa. I really thought about the line here. The line's minus 14.5, which is that's a killer for me because I definitely could see Penn State winning by 14. The hook there is big. So I'm going, and honestly, I don't even feel
Can't
good
wait
about
for
it.
this.
I don't even feel good about it. This is a bad under in the NFL. I'm going under 40. Iowa, Penn State. I just think that Iowa is pathetic on offense. And I think last week, whenever they went for it on fourth down or whatever late in the game to try and score more points against Western Michigan, tells me everything I need to know about what they expect from the next 9 weeks worth of football and their drive to 325 or whatever it is. I think they are awful offensively. I don't think they're going to score many points at all, maybe 7 or 10 tops. And we know what they're going to do defensively. I do think my concern in this game actually is I think Penn State might just whip them. And, they could win like 35-7 is not a cover here. And that's my only concern is making sure that Penn State turns it off late in the game and doesn't just keep running up the score. I do think the Iowa defense is good enough to get some stops, though. But I don't know if their offense is good enough to keep Penn State off the field in any way, shape, or fashion. So that's a concern, but under 40.
Is Iowa the most forgettable 3-0 ranked team in the country?
They're forgettable. They've been forgettable for 5 years now or so. I mean, there's always a win they get in November that's really cool, but I mean, they've been forgettable for a while now.
Here's my theory, dude. In that Rose Bowl, when they were top 10 and Christian McCaffrey just baptized them, that's when it all went downhill after that.
They still just have PTSD after that?
That was a really good Iowa team. I mean, I think they were 6th in the country or something. And, dude, he shredded them. I mean, it was not even close. Nick, our boy, Phil Parker is still the defensive coordinator at Iowa, if you're still curious.
Exactly. That's all. And Brian,
he's been
still the OC.
In fairness, is a dead man walking. There's no way he's hitting the average, the 25 or whatever.
No Austin, Ben, I don't know if y'all are familiar, but Phil Parker has been on staff at Iowa since 1999.
I saw some Iowa fans were talking about, they were like, oh, we're tired of talking about this whole have to average 25 points a game thing, but like they put it in his contract.
Yeah, right.
That's your fault.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're tired of talking about it. He's got to hit the number. Like, yeah. So Phil Parker, one might say, is the Derek Nix of Iowa football.
Ooh, that's good right there.
Think about how easy it would have been to just like fire the guy. Think about how low your bar is. We put a bar, you have to average 25. And you get 3 games a year against non-conference opponents.
And he gets to count. They get to count defensive scores.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. They just literally have to average 25.
Yeah,
it can be all defensive scores. They're just like the team has to get 25 points a game. That's crazy.
Good pull there, Austin, on the Derek Nix. Because, and I will say this, Phil Parker, like Derek Nix, looks very young for his age.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Nix still looks like he's in college.
Yeah.
Phil Parker, he's not old. He's 60, but I saw a picture of him. I did not think he was 60. So good for him. Good for both of them.
Yeah.
Hey, career longevity. Come on. You can't hate a guy for that. And he's got good defenses. All right. Do we have any more weather updates on like the East Coast?
No, I just East Coast, and like I said, I think Midwest and Kansas had the chance for rain, heavy rain.
Okay. Nick, I did see it might help you out with the weather up there. I think it is supposed to rain.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The whiteout game, that sounds right.
James Franklin, then they might just hand it off to those 2 stud running backs they have, and you might be all right. That'll be a Big Ten, like a 19-9 game or something like that.
Basically, 18 to 5.
Yeah, I was going to say with Iowa playing, there's got to be a safety somewhere. In there,
a run rule.
Yeah.
All right, that is going to do it for this week's Hit That Line. Like we said earlier in the show, we are above 500 on the year. Great week last week. We are obviously looking to capitalize on the momentum. Keep it up. Got 12 locks for you. And I'm pretty sure we all agreed that Ole Miss will win outright this weekend in Tuscaloosa. Shock the world. All that good stuff. We will have more coverage leading up to that game on Saturday at omspirit.com. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, the Talk of Champions podcast network, anywhere you can find your podcast. All of the shows are there. That's 6 shows. We got every day of the week covered for you. And also be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel that is at OM Spirit. All of the shows are there as well. Shout out to Home Field Apparel, College Corner, and the rest of the folks that make this show possible. Until next week, gentlemen, it was a pleasure as always. And we will be chatting over the weekend. Till next week, we out of here.